visa, you can always trace that.
We're eager to have the children registered. As I said, we're there. Our first job is protecting American citizens and their rights and their health and safety. We want that child registered, and that they should bring those children in.
But would it affect the parent when they're applying for their visa next, especially when they use Medicaid?
It's possible.
See?
Yes. Well, if you break the law, there are going to be consequences.
So that's why you have a whole lot of unregistered Gambian Americans.
They should come in and register. It's your children. Your children's health and safety should come first.
It's important. And if you enter United States and you're given an I-94, that's when you know if you're staying 6 months or 3 months. And you forget to give it out at the border, what happens? Because a lot of people are worried about that too, and that would mean that you are still in the U.S.
There's guidance on our website for how you can return your I-94, and that's what you should do is, if they don't take it, you should send it back. And we have a number of ways of checking. It's not just the I-94. There's airline records, there are other passport stamps, and we can check those records.
Okay. And also, one thing that has always been a challenge for most applicants is the amount that they pay to apply for a visa. I think recently was increased. I think now is, how much is it now?
160 US dollars.
It's 160 US dollars. It's a lot of money for the average Gambian.
Absolutely.
But then again, you pay that and you're denied a visa. Do you think, would there be a time when maybe, because before that used to happen at one of the embassies, I could remember very well, they would look at somebody's application and say, you know, if you put this in, you won't qualify. So it's better you keep your money. Do you think that would happen one day with the U.S. Embassy? I mean, because people are paying too much and then some of them are not getting visas.
According to law, we have to charge an application fee, and it's designed to cover the cost of having us here. Running our office costs money. We've got computers, facilities, a building, and so every couple of years, Consular Affairs in the United States does a study, and we look worldwide. How much is it costing us to provide visa services? And then we recalibrate the cost of the visa to match the cost of providing the visa services.
So the 160, you would use that for processing.
That's how we have a consular section here. It's funded by fees.
And filling the form online is also a bit complicated for some people, especially, you know, internet access in Gambia, like other parts of Africa. It's a bit of a challenge sometimes for some people.
Absolutely. It's a modern world, and there are a number of excellent businesses around town that will help folks to fill out their applications. And the reality is, in the world of today, that's the kind of information that is needed. And if you're going to travel to the United States, where it's a technological society and an information-heavy society, we need to have that information.
Okay. And now I want to talk about the relationship between the ambassador and the consular. Because some people would say, I know the ambassador. So when I want a visa, I will just call up the ambassador and I will get a visa. Can the ambassador help somebody or any other staff at the embassy to get a visa? Or is it only the consular who can make that decision?
The visa section is separate, and we do not allow other sections to influence us. It's against the law. One of the strong values that I'm proud of my country for is rule of law. As I said, I'm trying to apply the law and making sure we follow the law. That's very important to us. And allowing people who work at the embassy to have undue influence. It's against the law, it would look bad for us, and we simply don't allow it. So if you do happen to meet the ambassador and you ask him for a visa, he's just going to say, ask the consular section, because we keep those separate. That's one way we maintain the integrity of our system and we uphold our laws.
Okay. And I think one thing maybe the consular section should also look at is also talking to the people, like sensitizing the people, because most of the people don't know. They'll be refused the visa and then the next minute they want to come back the following week and apply. Are you looking at doing some kind of like sensitization programs to let people know before they come in and pay $160?
I'm very glad that you're having me on your program. Thank you very much. This is part of the sensitization. And yes, I give regularly newspaper interviews, radio interviews. We try to get the word out there. So yeah, it's part of our program. I was grateful to one of the newspapers recently. There was an editorial saying that people didn't like some of our visa practices. The newspaper called me and did an interview. We appreciate that.
Okay. And now let's talk about visa fraud. Sometimes that is still happening. I was listening to the radio this morning and there was a program on it. People who are paid some money to help other people get visas. Does that work?
No, it doesn't. And thank you for asking. This comes back to what we talked about earlier. No one can get you a visa, and no one cannot get you a visa. It's up to you. So if someone says, pay me this money and I'll get you a visa, it's a scam. Don't do it. Don't waste your money. We do see a lot of fraud in the Gambia, unfortunately. We do see fake bank documents, and we do follow up. If you bring a fake document to the embassy, we will work with the banks and police, and they will be arrested. And we have excellent partners with the banks and the police. Our cooperation has been great, and we do follow up on that. Don't fall prey to the scamsters. It's only you who can qualify for a visa.
And sometimes maybe somebody will be filling their form out and they make a mistake, as to the information that is on there. And then the consular might look at that and think, you are trying to lie on the application form when that is actually not the case. In cases like that, do you forgive them?
Well, we'll follow up. It depends on the quality of the information. If I have a woman who tells me that she's 60 and actually she's 80, that may be fine because she may not be educated. She may not have a good understanding of birthdays and decades. But I had a guy yesterday. I had information that he had 3 brothers in the United States. So I asked him, how many brothers do you have in the United States? He said, I have 1 brother in the United States. And I said, really? Are you sure? Do you have just 1 brother in the United States? He said, that's right, I have 1 brother in the United States. And I said, well, the information here says that you have 3 brothers in the United States. And then he said, oh, that's right, I made a mistake, it's 3. That's not going to work, all right? He's just changed the story to match my information. If he had told me something like, oh, yes, they're probably talking about Modu, who's actually my cousin, but as you know, in the Gambia, I consider him my brother, then we might have been able to go further. So it really depends on the kind of mistake and what happens after that.
Well, sometimes somebody will have a brother there, but because the brother seeks some asylum, they will not allow their sisters to go. Is that fair?
The applicant has to qualify. That's the bottom line.
Just because your brother seeks asylum would sometimes that disqualify some people.
We're not by law. If you are seeking asylum, that's something that person has earned. Sometimes people apply for the wrong kind of visa. So when they're signing up to apply for a visa, they should be careful. If you are going to the United States for study, you can't do that on a tourist visa.
But if you go on a tourist visa and then you decide you want to stay with your husband in the United States, can you change over there or you have to come all the way back?
Technically,
but if you go on a tourist visa and then you decide you want to stay with your husband in the United States, can you change over there or you have to come all the way back? That you refuse a lot of old people? Because that is so complicated, Andy.
It happens.
Okay. But now, is it true that you refuse a lot of old people? Because these are old people. They're just going to see their kids and then come back.
Under credibility of does their trip plan make sense? I wanted to say that I want to say again, we want to give visas. I like saying yes. Obviously, the applicant likes to hear yes. But people who are overstaying, if you are overstaying, you are doing a disservice to your countrymen and women because we have to look that much harder at their applications. And based on what we've seen, particularly recently in the last year and 2 years, we're seeing people who seem very qualified for a visa who are not coming back. And we have to make sure that the law is followed.
That's why you're very strict now? Like you don't trust nobody?
Well, we have a saying, trust but verify. It's very much...
Is that why you're very strict now? Like you don't trust nobody? Additional, information,
yes.
Like they will come in and...
It's very much a trust but verify business.
Well, sometimes you see some applicants will be asked to bring in additional, information.
Yes.
Like they will come in and you ask them for something, some kind of document, and they would say, okay, let me go back and get it. They go back, and maybe the language is sometimes a problem. They don't get to understand you, and then they will go and get a new one. And, then they will be denied a visa again.
Speak native languages here, and we can interview in the native language. So in general, I see those pending cases